morning, everybody. Hopefully, you had a wonderful weekend. We got 17 inches of snow, so we had a delightful weekend here. So, 5 Minute Money Maker last week was. Have you heard of the being behind the eight ball? Think about your life. When does the car furnace break? So, this is a good table, to quantify how many people end up having one of these life events where they do get behind the eight ball. It ends up being a lot more than you would think. And would you only get behind one eight ball, or could it be possible you get behind several eight balls, do you think, during retirement? Yeah, a bunch. Exactly, Nick. And the breakdown was, what do you say when the client says, we didn't have any grandkids when we first filed out this paperwork? So this will tell you what to do when that happens, and that will happen occasionally. So make sure you go back and listen to that. Epidemic marketing. We have a new tax reference guide that we'll be using for one of the epidemic marketing POK checklists. And guys, if you're not doing epidemic marketing, every single week, 2 or 3 guys will say, hey, that epidemic marketing, I got a client from that I didn't talk to since last October. So it's the cheapest marketing you can ever do. You don't know when it's going to work, but I guarantee you will see a 20-fold increase on whatever you spend there in getting it back on return on investment. So make sure you're using the epidemic marketing, and I think over the next month we'll have this checklist in here. If you want it sooner, you can reach out to Tricia, and she'll get that to you.
It's actually already posted on the website. It's actually
good.
For the May pieces. Yep.
Oh, super, good. And how should you send the epidemic marketing, guys? So first, if you're not doing epidemic marketing, please do the epidemic marketing. It will make you lots of money as compared to how much it costs to do. Now, when you're doing the epidemic marketing, the first thing people always ask me is, that's right, Nick. People ask me is, can I send it via email? Yeah, back 15 years ago, because 15 years ago, people got way too much in the mailbox and not very much in the email, so they were delighted by that. That is completely swapped, where now people get overwhelmed with emails and it's delete, and you get very, very few letters in the mailbox. So epidemic marketing should be in the mailbox. Now, we send out 3 pieces in our epidemic marketing, so it only costs us 1 stamp, 1 envelope to send out 3 pieces. And those 3 pieces are the newsletter, which shows that we have authority. And is there anything in that newsletter about financial things, guys? So let me hear, I must see everybody answer this. Is there anything in our financial newsletter in our newsletter about finances? No. And when I say finances, I would say yes about finances, but no about investment. So you're all answering that the right way. And then we put in for this example was the 2018 tax bracket sheet. We put in a checklist or helpful tip sheet, and that changes every single month. So you're giving them a free gift. So you're showing that you're an authority and you're adding value with the newsletter, and then you're giving a free gift, shows you're a good guy. And then the last thing we put in there is the walk down memory lane, and that all goes in the same envelope. And when you put in the walk down memory lane, that gives them something. Everybody loves that letter because it's interesting in how things were 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. So make sure you do that, and yes, you do send it by snail mail. Who was visiting Congress last week? There's a little hint on the screen there. Yeah, Zuckerberg. So Razzle uses a lot of Facebook. So Razzle, with the seminar that we use for the seminar, along with All Pro, etc. But Razzle uses a lot of Facebook. So does Guidevine, those kinds of things. So there probably will be some changes in Facebook, and if there's changes in Facebook, there's going to be some changes in how Razzle works and some of the other digital marketing works. So please pay attention to that. So whatever you have now is going to be what you have now, but in the future, they're probably going to make some changes with Facebook, and when they make some changes, that's going to affect the marketing. So make sure you reach out to them and to Razzle and the Guidevine and Wiser Advisor and Financial and all those to see how they're going to change, if they're going to change what they're doing. So this is the consumer monthly credit. This is how much people have on credit starting in 2012 and lately. So what's happening right now? What's happening right now? Too much debt. Why is that something we should pay attention to? What kind of a economy do we have? How do we make all of our money? Exports? How do we make all of our money? Yeah, I would agree, Jerry. How do we make all of our money in this country? It's a consumer spending economy, right, Dave? That's right, Till. So when we're overextended like this, guess what? That is a problem. And I've also seen, guess who's back? Guess who's back? We've got now people lending to people giving $500,000 extra on the mortgage. They're lending to people who can't afford the mortgage. We're right back to where we are. And then guess what they're doing with those mortgages? Putting them in tranches. Does anybody remember what a tranche is? And guess who they're selling those to? Investment banks. Guys, this is 10 years later, we can't remember what got us in the place where we are in the first place. Now, but people say, that's not a problem. That's not a problem because we're going to grow out of this problem. Well, first of all, if that happens again, does the government have the ability to spend $1 trillion on bailing banks out and getting the economy going again? Do we have that? No. I mean, after what we just did with the tax reduction bill, we don't have the ability to do that. And does the Federal Reserve have any room to take interest rates down 3%? No. So when and if this happens, we have no bullets left. That's exactly well put, Nick. So I'm just pointing this out is because if you've got your clients heavily weighted in stocks, dudes, I hope your overhead is very low. Why do I hope your overhead is very low if you have your clients overweighted in stocks? Because when that happens and your overhead is high, you're going to be in the hole. Going to be in the hole. But I've heard people say, "Oh, we're going to grow out of this. We're going to grow out of this because look at what's happening. You know, the profits are up. Blah 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 blah." So let's read this. At the end of the day, you can't find a worse chart for the stock market than that for the 14 months below. Yet enthralled to the alleged Goldilocks economy, no one on Wall Street saw it coming. The consensus back in 2007, guess what the consensus was that we're going to see earnings per share that followed in 2008? They thought that, the projections were we're going to see $110 per share for the S&P 500. What was it, guys? Less than half. So just because the gurus predict that earnings per share or earnings are going to be up next year, what is that worth, guys? And I want everybody to answer this. Just because the gurus say earnings are going to be up next year, what's that worth? Got 10 bupkisses. Got 10 nothings. A lot of craps. Nothing. So guys, why we do what we do? Hey, you know what? Market could go up for the next 10 years, or the market could fall 60% next year. So why do we do what we do? We have half our money in growth and half of our money in guaranteed because we don't know what's going to happen. I'm not showing you these things to say the market's going to go down. I am showing you these things to say the market might go down. So if we don't know, and you should know this from your FIA presentation, if we don't know, anybody who says they know what's going to happen is full of what? Crap, right, Keith? Exactly. Right, Liliana. Baloney. So 21-point check. I just want to rehash the 21-point checklist and the end goals. It's the third video down on, let me see. Let me get just a second here. I'm going to show you. The end goal video. You wanna go look at that when you can, okay? Because if you understand what you want the clients to say, that's going to help you with the 21-point checklist immediately. But I just want to remind you that the first 5 or 6 things we talk about. So, a power of attorney, medical power of attorney, quality of life directive, identity theft, property casualty, liability insurance. We brag about what we do, right? Is that what we do? We brag that we do those things. Right, Nick? Anybody else? Nick's only the one giving me the right answer. Jerry's got it? No. So no, we never brag. But what we do is we say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for covering these things. I know it's boring. I know it's putsy. I know you're scratching your head. Why are we covering this? And then we go through the reasons why any advisor doesn't look at those things as what? A lousy advisor. So make sure you go back, and we have them say that over and over and over, 2 or 3 times for each one of the topics. So by the end, they've said it 15, 16, 17 times. They finally get the idea that, wait, Mike's not a bad advisor. He's not even my advisor. What do I care? My advisor's a bad advisor. He's not doing these things. So it gets them to understand that. Make sense? Now, the second thing, it starts to get them to understand that you can't force someone to respect you, but you can refuse to be disrespected. It gets people to understand that this guy is disrespecting me. Now, on the financial issues, I want you to, so the second half of the 20-point checklist, to kind of think of it this way. I want you to kind of think of it this way. They could have received, it's not that what they're doing is wrong. It's not that the investments are wrong, the diversification is wrong, the risk is wrong. Here's the problem. I mean, is that what we're showing them, that it's wrong? Are we trying to show them that it's wrong? No, we're not. That's right. So all we're pointing out is they could have received more and paid less, but their advisor only showed them the thing that they paid more for and got less. Do you get that? So for fees, I could have received for a variable annuity, I could have received more in return and paid less in insurance fees. A money manager, I could have received a higher rate of return and paid less in fees if I just went with the S&P 500. With bonds, I could have received more guarantees and more safety and paid less, but instead he showed me bonds that are not safe, and the reason he did that is so he'd get paid. So for me to pay more, which means he gets paid more. Investment weighting, I could have gotten a better investment rating, a more balanced investment weighting, and paid less, but instead he gave me a very unbalanced investment weighting, and I'm paying more for that. So you get what you want to. It's not that what they're doing is wrong. It's that for everything that they're shown, they're also what? That's right, Dave. Options not shown. And so when you didn't, what did your mom say when she asked you a question and you didn't tell her a lie, you just withheld the truth? What did she say? What did she say about withholding the truth? That's okay? Yeah, she viewed it as a lie of omission, right? So remember, on all the financial things, it's not that what they're doing is wrong, it's that the advisor didn't show them that thing where they could have gotten more and paid less. They could have got more safety, more return, more manager tenure, more everything, and paid less. Instead, the guy showed them the thing where they got less and they got paid more. And why were they showing that thing where they actually got less and they had to pay more? Why? Because that's when you pay more, guess what there's more room for? The advisor to make more. Why did the advisor? So do you get why when you do this right and the client discovers for themselves that, you know what? I guess if he's getting paid, I can live with him getting paid. Guys, do you think anybody thinks that anybody's working for free? Are they okay with people getting paid? I sure the heck hope so, because we get paid. The problem comes when they discover, wait a minute. This guy has me paying more to get less. How would you feel if you bought a car that way and you found out the guy sold you a car that you paid more for and got less options than, and he could have shown you the option where you got more car and more options and paid less? How would you feel? What would you do? What would you immediately do if you got home and found that out? It doesn't matter what we're buying. If we find out, we all understand that we're going to pay for things. But when we find out that the person didn't show us the option where we could have got more and paid less, that is what? That's right. They get PO'd. That's a show of disrespect. That means they're hiding things. They're screwing us. Does that make sense? So this is what you should be thinking on all the financial things. Because remember, when you go to get your eyes checked out, do they just say, hey, here's a pair of glasses. Are they working out okay for you? Is that what they say? No, they say first or second is better. 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 So what we're doing is we're showing them first and second, first and second, first and second. And then when they decide, no, the second is better, we say, Why did he never show you the second and let them come to their own conclusion? Make sense? So make sure you're looking at that 21-point checklist end goal. Watch that video again. It will help you make sure you do that. And then I discovered a little thing for identity theft, which I was not aware of. Did you know that if you call your, and this is not for you, but it is for you, but it's, if you have your clients call their home insurer, there are riders for as little as $25 a year. And if their identity is stolen, the insurer will work with police and credit bureaus to restore your good name and reimburse costs related to repairing your credit. So would that be a good thing to bring up on either the identity theft or in the insurance? Again, what does that make us look like? Heroes. So make sure you're doing that, okay? So the rest of the call, I want to talk about sales tips. And these sales tips came from the greatest. And I never thought I would be quoting Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson said, study the greats and become greater. So I've actually kind of gathered all of these tips from all sorts of the current sales training superstars out there. So the first thing and we've been talking about this for 10 years, the first thing they point out is the greatest generation the same as baby boomers, is the same as Generation X, is the same as millennials, guys? No. So 10, 15 years ago, we were selling to the greatest generation. Unfortunately, they have gone to the pearly gates for the most part. So now we're working with baby boomers. It's great. Generation X, millennials, terrific, but we don't generally work with them. But are the greatest generation baby boomers, are similar, almost polar opposite? What do they think about authority? Same or different? What do they think about when they're confused? They should blame themselves or blame the person who's confusing them? So greatest generation baby boomers are what? The complete opposite. And the 5Q system was basically designed for baby boomers. It worked great with the greatest generation, but it was basically designed for baby boomers. Now, establishing rapport. Rapport is about connecting with your audience. If you connect with your audience, they're more likely to listen to you. Talk about your family because everyone has a family. Reveal a hidden flaw because everyone's imperfect, but find something that you have in common. Is this what we do, guys? Is this what we encourage? It's what everybody else is encouraging. Is this what we encourage? No. All the new science says no, no, no. That's why when Jeff talks to you about gathering data at the first meeting, how long should that first meeting last, guys? How long should that first meeting last? About a half hour, because all you're doing is gathering the data. Because when you go to see a doctor, is he trying to find out, is he trying to develop rapport with you and see whether you guys went to the same school or whether you like fishing or whether you're big car aficionados? No, what's he doing? He's being kind, courteous, and professional. Is he selling himself? No, neither should you. Should be about education, finding the problem and a solution. And don't bend to your patient's will, meaning he's not going to, is the doctor going to let you ask 100 different questions there? No. So should we be acting like a doctor or should we, here's the thing about, I just had a conversation, we did a training last week, and I had a conversation with a guy who thought that people looked at us as professionals. Guys, do the people we get it from, do prospects look at us as professionals? Do they? I got 2 answers. Come on, everybody answer that. 4 answers? Come on, everybody answer that. That's right, everybody's getting it right. No, they do not look at us as professionals. Why? It's not because we're bad, but here's the thing: if we do not follow the doctor's orders, if we totally disregard what the doctor says, does that affect his paycheck, or does he still get paid? Still get paid. If people don't follow our directions, what happens to us? We don't get paid. So here's the thing: if he prescribes the surgery, if he prescribes losing weight, if he prescribes lowering your blood pressure, and we don't follow it, you know what? He's okay. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just here to to answer your questions, move on. I get paid one way or the other. But the thing with us, you know why why do they not view us as professionals? Because they know that if they follow our directions, what happens? If they follow our directions, what happens? We get paid. We make money. So it's not that we're bad guys. And I don't care how fancy your suit is. I don't care how fancy your tie is. I don't care how professional you conduct yourself. They know that if they follow our directions, we're going to get paid. We're incented to get them in business, right? So if we act like salespeople, that's going to be a problem. So we want to act not like salespeople at all, but more like a doctor, where we don't care whether they follow our directions or not. We're going to be kind, courteous, and professional, but we're not going to sell ourselves or what we're doing. Oh, shoot, this wasn't supposed to be crossed out like that. Let me get this. It's getting all confused now. Zig Ziglar was a guy that I'm going to get out of here a second. Just a second here. Okay, now we'll go back here. Sorry about that, guys. My animation was done. Zig Ziglar was a guy that was huge in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Anything Zig Ziglar has said in the past, so guess what? How it works today with baby boomers. I love the guy. He was awesome. For the 70s, 80s, 90s, for the greatest generation, he was awesome. But for baby boomers, guess what? He's everything baby boomers hate about people who make money when you follow their directions. I don't care if it's a financial advisor, a car salesman, a realtor, or anybody else. So when he says, for every sale you miss, you're too enthusiastic, you'll miss 100 because you're not enthusiastic enough. Guess what the new science says about being enthusiastic? Do not even overrated. Don't be enthusiastic at all. Guys, when you pick up the phone and somebody says, "Hey Bob, this is Mike with blah blah. Hey, I hope you're having a good day." What's your immediate reaction? If you don't know the guy, what's your immediate reaction? Sales. How quickly do you want to get off the phone with the guy? Bye. Exactly. So this has changed. I put an extra this because you're not to be too enthusiastic. You're supposed to be professional, kind, and courteous, but not enthusiastic. Because anybody you meet who's enthusiastic that's a stranger, what's your immediate reaction to that guy or gal? They're trying to sell me something, and it's a push back. Yep. Grab your wallet. Oh man, I really messed up all the animation here. Get people saying yes. What do we believe about that? What do we think about getting people saying yes? Yes is worth what? Nothing. We need to be asking open-ended questions. Who, what, where, why, when, how. They have to say in their own words and complete thoughts what they're thinking, what they want to do, what they believe, how things work. Us saying and say, does that make sense? Yep. Now, guys, I say, does that make sense to you all the time on coaching calls? Because am I trying to, it's just like you're my client. With clients, do we have to do as much motivational interviewing with clients? No, they already trust us. So you're my client, so I'll say, does that make sense? Because I got a lot of people to talk to, and running 30 to 40 coaching appointments a week, I got a lot of people to talk to. I'm not going to I still spend some time getting you to tell me, but I do very often you take shortcuts with, does that make sense? Yes. Does that make sense? Yes. But when I'm with a prospect that I'm trying to get them to move all their money to me, how many yeses am I shooting for? How many yeses am I shooting for? That's right. 0, none, zippo. All open-ended questions. I'm also looking for, and this is, again, tips from the greats. They said you got to be constantly getting feedback from your clients. Is the 5Q system set up for feedback from clients? Yes. That's why we ask open-ended questions, so we can see, are they paying attention? Do they understand what we're doing? Are they happy with what they're saying? Do they disagree with what we're saying? Do they want to move forward or do they not want to move forward? It's open-ended questions. We're constantly getting that feedback. And again, feedback with, does that make sense? No. Does that make sense? Does not work. It has to be open-ended questions. So Bernard Baruch, one of the wealthiest people in U.S. history, said most of the successful people I've known are the ones who do more listening than talking. And what's the 5Q system designed to do? So remember does anybody remember the $1 million test? The $1 million test you can do of 5 minutes listening to a tape in 5 minutes. What are you listening for in that 5 minutes? Take a tape with you talking to a client, and you listen to it for 5 minutes. What are you listening for? Yeah, that's right, Nick. At least 2 open-ended questions per minute. So in that 5 minutes, you should have at least 10 open-ended questions. If you don't, guess what? You have more work to do. So this is not me saying this. This is all the current science says to shut up and let them talk. But guys, did we really need science to tell us that, or who told us that a long time ago? Our moms and our grandmas said, shut up. Mom gave you 2, or God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth for a reason. So you can't prove anything. This is the old sales style. And here's the thing. Guess what? With the greatest generation, you could prove things to the greatest generation. You could prove things to the greatest generation. Can you prove anything to a baby boomer? Nobody's answering. Can you prove anything to a baby boomer? Guys, how many news stations or channels are there? How many 24 news channels are there? 24-hour news channels are there? If I'm a conservative, who do I watch? Everybody's saying Fox. If I'm a liberal, who do I watch? MSNBC. So here's the thing. Are they both reporting on the same particular thing that happened? Yes. Is their context of what happened the same? Or is it the complete opposite? So what if I forced a conservative to watch MSNBC? What would they say about that news? It's proof right there. They're proving it to you right there. They got all the experts. What if I had a liberal look at Fox News and said, hey, look at there's all the experts are saying, they're proving it to you. What would they say? You cannot prove anything to anybody. In fact, and you're right. I think you're right. They get, and the more you try to prove it, the more what they would get. That's right. They dig in harder. They get more angry. So you can't prove anything to anybody. Who can prove things to them? Who's the only thing that can prove? Who's the only person they believe 100% of the time? That's right. So you can't prove anything, but they can prove things to themselves. So the beauty is, with our scripts, is we ask open-ended questions so they prove these things to themselves. When they wake up in the morning, what do they think about their advisor? They think their advisor walks on water. And if we tried to prove that their advisor was stealing from them and their advisor was disrespecting them, if we tried to prove that to them, what would 90% of the people say? No way. No way. So the whole system is designed so that they can slowly come to their own conclusion that their guy is disrespecting them, is stealing from them. Another thing that they say is, and this is Dale Carnegie is 100 years old, or his Win Friends Influence People is over 100 years old, and this is one of his primary premises: give honest and sincere appreciation. Unlike Zig Ziglar, whose recommendations are totally the opposite, or 180 degrees of what you should be doing nowadays. Guess what about all of Dale Carnegie's information? It's still absolutely 100% relevant, exactly. So give sincere and honest appreciation. What do we call it when we give sincere and honest appreciation? What do we call it in our system? It's part of GOTS. What do we call it? It's a certain part of GOTS. Empower. That's right, Jerry. Empower. We empower people. Put yourself in their shoes. Again, this is current science, but it's worked for decades, putting yourself in their shoes. So this is when anybody objects to anything we say, what do we do first of all? We explain to them why they're right. We spend 2, 3, 4 minutes explaining why their point of view is absolutely right. Not kind of right, not I understand, not I can see your viewpoint. Instead, we say, what you said is not 100% right, it's 150% right. We put ourselves in their shoes. And guys, the better you do this, the better you're going to be. For example, if you put yourself, I did this here 5 minutes ago where I said, if somebody approaches you and that's a stranger and is really enthusiastic, how would you feel about that person? They're there to sell you something. So if that's the way we feel, we should put ourselves in their shoes, and should we be acting that way when we're with them? No. And when they're uneasy, when you go into some place, one-on-one with an attorney or one-on-one with whatever you're looking at buying in their office, Are you a little uneasy? Sure you are. You're on their territory. So you're going to see, the more you can view the world from their eyes, the more money you're going to make. Here's one that I think is so essential. It's something that I did. Eliminate maybe clients. So if somebody's not moving forward with me, one of the best things I ever did was I had my client filing cabinet. I had my maybe filing cabinet. And guess what? The day I started making a ton of money was when I got rid of my maybe filing cabinet. My maybe filing cabinet were people who said I need to think about it, or I need to take. There were people that I thought I might be able to get back. So when I started, when people are putting me off, here's the conversation I have with them. I'll leave a message, say, listen, you haven't gotten back to me, so here's all I'm looking for. You know, because do they just say they don't get back to you, or do they say things like, my dad's sick, I have to go visit my kids? They give you all sorts of excuses, right? And so I'm going to say, listen, if this is really the case, you can't move forward because your dad's sick. Hey, family comes first, no problemo. But if you're delaying making a decision because you don't want to hurt my feelings, actually right now you're hurting my feelings more. I can wait until you're dead as well. But if you just don't want to hurt my feelings by saying no, you're doing me a favor by saying no. So if you really need some time because things are happening or life has kind of got away from you, hey, I'm very patient. But if you're leading me on because you're afraid to say no, don't be afraid to say no. I'll be happy if you say no. And about 50% of the time, they'd say, you're right, no, we're not interested. Or 50% of the time, they would say, no, really, there's something that's going on. But I don't want maybes. Because when I looked at that filing cabinet, I had $10 million of business in the maybes cabinet. So guess what my mindset was when I had $10 million in the maybe cabinet? Oh, that's going to come. It's going to come in the next 6 months or a year. So I don't have to work hard enough right now because I don't have to do a lot of marketing because, I got a lot of money sitting out there. Did I have any money sitting out there in my maybe cabinet? No. So if I have an open case and it's 2 months old, guess what I'm assuming? If I have an open case and it's 2 months old, it's dead. I'm going to call those people and say, and have that maybe conversation. Are you delaying this because it's really thing, or do you just not want to say no? Because if you don't want to say no, you won't hurt my feelings. It's no problem. Say no, and then I'll quit bugging you, and I can move on, and it's going to work out for you because you're not getting these annoying emails and phone calls, and it works out for me because then I'm not wasting my time. So if you really need time, no problem. I can wait forever. I'm patient. But if you just don't want to say no problemo. Make sense? So if something's taking 2 months, dudes, it's dead. And it's dangerous because when you think it's sitting there, you're thinking, you know what? I don't have to market now because I'm sitting there. I've got $2.5 million out there right now of people who are probably going to close. If you think they're probably going to close, I'm going to tell you, guess what? If you think they're probably going to close, guess what I'm going to tell you? They're not. I either had people who are going to close or not going to close, but no maybes. Make sense? Don't be afraid to fail. That kind of ties into that, getting a no. We're afraid to get a no. I'm not afraid to get a no. I want a no. If it's a no, tell me a no. And then I'll go back and listen to the tape and figure out, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong that this thing got off track, that I didn't get them to understand that their guy was disrespecting them? Did I do all the talking? Did I not ask enough questions? I go back and find out what was broken so I don't. Now, again, is that finding out what was broken? Is that about that client or is it about all future clients? It's about all future clients. But I need to know. And another way to don't be afraid to fail. Some guys, Jeff, is 100% of our guys using the 21-point checklist. And now, even the guys, Jeff, that know the 21-point checklist, like I told you, I've been telling you guys, more guys know the 21-point checklist than have ever known it in the 18 years 5Q's been around. But Jeff, are 100% of guys that know the 21-point checklist using the 21-point checklist?
No, for sure no.
And why is that, guys? Because you think, I don't know it well enough, or I don't know this. Guys, how do you get good at something? How do you get good at something? By doing it. Here's a funny thing. When people come on, I'll have them do the 21 Light with their current clients. And listen to this. I'll have guys say, well, Mike, I don't have time. I can't do it. I say, why don't you have time? Because I see 2 clients this week, and I see 3 clients next week, and I see a referral the next week. And I scratch my head, guys. If they're seeing 2 clients this week, 3 clients the next week, and a referral the next week, what could those 6 people be? What could those 6 people be? 21 lights. Even from the get, they could be 21 lights. And why wouldn't you want to? Because anything we do with the 20-point checklist, how much more do you know than any client you sit down with? How much how much more do you know than any client you sit down with? Lots more. So by virtue of you knowing more, you're an expert. You can do it right away. And as far as, I mean, the year I designed this, and I made 357, so I jumped from 50,000 to 357, then 667, 967. How many people do you think I did 21s with? All of them. Do you think they all came to me from seminars? I'd say 90% of them did, but that other 10%, guess how they came to me? Some came from referrals, some just walked into my office because they saw my sign, some saw me in the newspaper, some there was all sorts of reasons they came to me, but guess how many people I did a 21-point checklist? Every single one. Every single one. Now, here's an interesting thing. What do all the experts say? What does all the current science say about scripts or no scripts? That's a hard one. I'm not getting any answers. What do you think the current science says about scripts or no scripts? Man, it's pretty interesting. This is probably the first time I had basically 50% one way, 50% the other way. They've all said yes to scripts. Why do you think they all say yes to scripts? Why do the experts say yes to scripts? If you do not use scripts, what can you not do? If you do not use scripts, what can you not do? That's right. Jeff, if we don't use scripts, what can we not do if we don't use scripts?
Well, we can't figure out what went wrong.
That's right.
We can't fix anything.
That's right. So that means every single time it's kind of a 50-50 shot on whether we're going to be successful. And again, there's a whole lot. I could actually do a whole coaching call on why these experts say use scripts. But the biggest thing is this. If you're not using a script, that means you cannot get better, because every new conversation is a new conversation. Every new conversation is a new conversation. Without doing scripts, how do you know what went wrong? And how can you use it the next time? Think about this, guys. When the top batter, we're in baseball season now, even though we got 17 inches of snow, we're in baseball season. When the top batter goes to the plate, what do? Jeff, you go to pro games all the time. What does the batter do when they goes up to that plate?
He usually has a routine. He has like a swinging routine.
Similar or the same? How many times
no.
if he touch?
No, it's the same.
They're ritualistic.
Yep.
How about pitchers?
Same.
Guys, why do you think that they do the same thing over and over and over again? So that they get into a groove, they get into a mindset. But if you view when I was making 50 grand a year, guess how my meetings were? Everyone was what? Everyone was a new meeting. Everyone was different. Just wing it. I can't have a script because everybody's different. I mean, wow, how can you have a script when everybody's different? I got to treat everybody differently, No. That's right, Groundhog Day. By using the mentality of Groundhog Day, guess what I can do? I can let them create a script that works for everybody, and that's what we've done. Guys, here's the thing. I predicted 20 years ago. Here's the power of a script. Regardless of what all the experts say, I predicted 20 years ago what your client would say 20 years in the future. And that's something you don't want to use. How powerful is it if I predicted 20 years ago what your client would say 20 years in the future? How powerful is that? Everybody answer that. So if if we have that kind of power, why would we want to wing it? But the mentality is really the Groundhog Day mentality, is that by using scripts, you can figure out what went well, what went wrong. And those of you that have come in to the business through large corporations, I came in through IDS, and here's the thing. When I came in through IDS and selling their financial plans and I used a script, guess what? When I used IDS's script to sell financial plans, guess what? I became the #1 person in Minnesota for selling their plans. I couldn't sell any product, but man, I could sell those financial plans. The #1 person in Minnesota. And then when I became the #1 person in Minnesota selling financial plans, guess what I did? I stopped using the script, and then guess what happened? I was no longer the #1 person in Minnesota. I mean, I fell right off the cliff. So the science says use scripts. Amateurs wing it. Professionals use scripts. Now, are they saying a word-for-word script? No. They're saying you need to have a very specific talking points as you go through it. And the science also says that we should start small and build confidence and trust. Do we do that with the 21-point checklist? Do we start with the most important thing or the least important thing? The least. Also, again, we were talking about this earlier, about when you go to a optician, do they say try on a pair of glasses, find one that works for you, or do they say first or second is better, first or second is better, first or second is better? All the science says you need to do side-by-side comparisons. You cannot just show them. If you show them just one thing, guess what they'll need to do? If you show them one solution, guess what they're going to need to do? Think about it. You need to show them side-by-side comparisons. Do we do that with our FIA presentation? Side-by-side comparisons. Heck yeah. And early, at the beginning of this call, when we're talking about the financial things, are we using side-by-side comparisons? Are we just saying, look, you're paying too much? Nope. What we say is what? What do we say? We say, so what you have now, you're paying more and getting less. You could have been getting more and paying less. Is that a side-by-side comparison? Is that a side-by-side comparison? You're paying more and getting less where you could have been getting more and paying less. That's a side-by-side comparison. And that's how we make decisions. Think about how you. I was looking for a grill this weekend. Guess how I look for a grill? Did I go out looking for the best grill? No. What'd I do? Found the top 5 grills and put them side by side and decided which one had the best features. And also, the science is it's not about you. It's not about you. It's all about who? Them. Baby boomers, everything is about them. So guys, you are the light and they are the darkness. These two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. So this is, again, what the new science is saying is going, guess what the new science says about going for a piece of the business and building on that? Guess what the new science says? Nope. But what are a lot of people out there pushing? Hey, just get a piece of the business and then grow into it. No, does not work. All or none. We've talked about this before. What's the new science say about goals? They say they suck. What should you have instead of goals? See, and why do they say goals suck? Here's why. If I say I'm going to make $1 million this year, it's now, what are we into, April? And I'm only at 150,000. Guess what I'm going to do with that goal? I want to make $1 million this year. I'm only at 150,000 by April. What am I going to do with that goal? Throw it out the window. Scrap it. I'll say, you know what? I'll start a new goal in June, or I'll start a new goal next January. So don't do goals. Instead, what? Figure out what your goal is. If I want to make $1 million a year, that's not what I want to be doing. I want to take that million and then I want to reverse engineer it into an actionable plan. Because can I control how much money I make? Can I control how much money I make? That's right. Don't worry about the money. But can I control my actions? Whether I'm doing 15-minute drills, whether I'm reviewing all my tapes, whether I'm getting how many people I'm getting in front of. Can I control how many people I get in front of? Yeah. We've got the marketing to do that. So I'm going to say, here's how many people. I go back and look at the last year. of all the people I got in front of, what was my average client size? How many people did I sell, not sell? And see, I'm going to use that information, and that's going to determine how many people I got to get in front of, what my closing ratio has to be, what my to make the kind of money I want. That I have control over. Getting in front of people, doing 50-minute drills, reviewing my tapes, I have control over that. What I don't have control over is some goal to make a certain amount of money. And guess this goes right back to scripts. This actually ties into scripts. Guess what the science says about having a process? Think about all the companies out there that make the most money. What do they have? A process. And that's what we have. You can't achieve success when you're trying to be everything to everyone. So the year I went from making 50,000 to 356, guess what I did that year, at the beginning of that year? I got rid of all of my clients that weren't retired. Because when I looked somebody in the face and I said, listen, I only work with retirees, I meant it. So I gave away all my young clients. I gave them away for free. I didn't even get paid on it. I just gave it to an advisor in town that I knew would treat them well. Just gave them away so that when I looked somebody in the eye and said, I only work with people who are retired, they knew I was 100% honest. Because do people retired and people who are not retired, do they have the exact same worries? Or do they have different worries? They have different worries. And so I told people, I only work with people who are retired because I want to be an expert. I can't be an expert to everybody. I mean, what would you tell somebody that said, to a doctor says, yeah, I'm an allergist, and then I'm a general practitioner, and I'm also a liver surgeon. What would you say to that person? If you need the liver surgery, what would you say? No, thanks. I want somebody who only does liver surgeries. And are there surgeons that only do liver surgeries? Anybody that knows doctors, are there surgeons that only do liver surgeries? Yes, there are. That's how specific they get. So, if somebody comes into McDonald's and says, I want a filet mignon, or I want a smoked salmon, what do they tell them? It's not what we do here. Do they say, well, geez, they're going to pay me $50. Somebody around the grocery store, and let's go get a filet mignon. No, what do they say? No, I don't care how profitable it is. They just say, we don't do that here. So referrals, unfortunately, I think I'm the only person that has this view on referrals. I think everything that and believe me, guys, I read everything I see in referrals, and it's all garbage. Why is everything that we see on referrals garbage? All the books, all the magazine articles, why is it all garbage? What's it asking our client to do? It's asking our clients to put up with rejection. Because when they go to their friend and say, oh man, you got to work with Mike, he's awesome. His investments, they've really done so well the last 8 years. He's got us into a great income plan. He's reduced our taxes. Man, we have the best peace of mind. He cares for us. You got to work with him. What do they say? What's their friend say? Thanks, got somebody, got a guy. Now, about 1 in 5 advisors I talk to have that one client who's an advocate for them. Is that typical, or is that way atypical to have that one client that's going to be out there advocating, pushing people towards you, putting up with the rejection? That's not the typical person. Most of us I never had a client like that. So how do we deal with referrals? We deal with referrals, and you guys, you need to become an expert on this script right here. If you go to the audio video school, and then you go down to referral script, it's only 2 minutes long. You gotta be awesome with the referral script, because every time you get done with the 21 Lite, every time you have a client review, every time you review the 21-point checklist with people, you want to be using this referral script, because what they find is that the reason they're going to refer is because they're helping you, because they're helping their friend, or because they're helping themselves. Which reason? Helping themselves. They're right, Michael. Helping themselves. So you got to be awesome at this. And if you do this, I have so many guys that are getting all sorts of referrals now because of that script. So make sure you're doing that. This goes nurture. The science says you got to nurture, nurture, nurture. This goes right back down to epidemic marketing and having client. I use summer barbecues and Christmas light tours in the winter to constantly be making them feel good about our relationship. And guess what the science says about handwritten notes? This is the duh. I talk to you guys about this about once a quarter. Do handwritten notes. Am I telling you, do I do handwritten notes, guys? Yes. I do about 200 handwritten notes every single year. I've been doing 200 handwritten notes. I'm sorry, a year. Every single month. I've been doing 200 handwritten notes probably since 1997. Every single month. If I have time for it, guess what? Anybody has time for it. Okay? Do those handwritten notes. They have a major effect. And I thought this was an interesting one because I've been promoting. I use 2%, but the science says get 1% better every day. I'll tell you, you don't even have to get better 1% better every day. If you get 2% better every week, guess what? Send out cards sucks. Why does send out cards suck? For those of you who know who send out cards are, why does send out cards suck? Yeah, it's not handwritten. So I'll tell you, you guys may have not heard this story. When I got my bank where I had a lot of money, send me out a send out cards. Guess what I did? For Christmas, they sent me out a send out cards for Christmas. Guess what I did? You're right, Dave. I did. Changed bank. You guys all got it. I changed banks. Why? What did they tell me? It's just a number. Here's the funny thing. If they hadn't sent me anything, guess what? They were punished. It's like they were punished for doing a good thing because they reminded me that I was just a number to them. If they hadn't sent me a card, it would have been out of sight, out of mind. I wouldn't even thought twice about them. But the fact that they sent me a manufactured card said that reminded me that they or made sure that I knew that I was just a number to them. Does that make sense? Yeah, clients do save handwritten cards, Jeannie. They absolutely do. So get 1% better every day. What are the things that we encourage you to do to get 1% better every day? That's right, the 15-minute drill. There is nothing more important in your day. There's nothing more important in your day than the 15-minute drill. So make sure you guys are doing that, okay? Because when you've mastered the crib notes and the motive, the scripts that science tells us you should be using, the open-ended questions that science says you should be using, when you've practiced those skills, communication skills every single day, not for hours and hours, just the 15 minutes, looking at the 5-minute Moneymaker and how to get a little bit better every week and the tape breakdowns, that's when you're going to bring on every single client. And when you're bringing on every single client, is marketing a problem, guys? It's an ATM, right? If you're bringing on every single client, guess how much problem marketing is? I've told you guys. Do you think I would spend $5,000 to have a client come in and let me do a 21-point checklist with them? Hell yeah, I would. I mean, I want to make sure they have money, but would I pay a guy with $500,000 $5,000 to let me do a 21-point checklist with them? Heck yeah. And that's the kind of confidence you have to have. So there's more guys that know the 21-point checklist and have ever known it, and more now even than since January. But you want to not just know it, you want to become so confident that you too are saying, heck yeah, I'd pay $1,000, I'd pay $2,000, I'd pay $3,000 to have somebody do a 21-point checklist with me. So that when you have that kind of confidence, guess how much marketing you're doing. So if you don't have that kind of, you're unstoppable, right? So if you don't have that kind of confidence, get that kind of confidence, guys. You have no competition in the industry. Nobody's doing what you do. Nobody has these scripts that have been working for 20 years. Nobody has these things. Nobody is wearing the white hats and doing the right thing for clients that you do. You should be just mowing down the competition, getting in front of as many people as possible, because you will beat every single competitor you run across because you are doing the right thing and you're doing it the right way, okay? So I like to do these. I like to every once in a while to know that we're not the only people out here talking about this. We're the only people in our industry talking about these things. These other experts or these other great sales trainers aren't even working in the financial industry. They're in all sorts of other industries, but I pay attention to what they're saying because we can learn from them. But right now, I'll tell you, we're doing the right thing. So you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.